I'm Ashley Lant.
And I'm Tyler Klaus.
In March of 2020, Andrew got sent home from school. Not because he was sick, not because there was something shockingly wrong with the school, and most certainly, in his case, not for some egregious misbehavior that would warrant a suspension. This was the start of our Ag Issues presentation together and the start of Andrew Schulz becoming my best friend.
You know, I'll never forget what Andrew said to me about a year ago. He looked me dead in the eyes and he said, "Ugh." This is because he had just fractured his skull off of a line drive during our home run derby. Thankfully, he recovered, and looking back on it about a year later, it was just one of the many obstacles that he did not let stand in his way. I've known Andrew for a long time, and he's always had certain qualities that make him a natural leader. This is a guy who's dependable, hardworking, and reliable. What's not to love? Having grown up with Andrew, we've been close friends for quite some time. Although I've had the opportunity to work with him in just about everything, whether it was our graduation speech we did together, football and baseball that we played together for our whole lives, or all the classes that we took together, I think the coolest opportunity we've had together was as FFA teammates. Having a chance to compete in Ag Issues was one of the coolest experiences I had in high school, and I have Andrew to thank for that. He was the guy who originally convinced me to join the team, and he stepped into a leadership role as we refined our presentation. He pushed me to work hard, and I not only got better at public speaking, but I enjoyed every second of it. Winning a state competition and competing at nationals was one of my favorite high school experiences, and it would not have happened without Andrew's contributions, and it certainly wouldn't have been as memorable. He has done an excellent job as the state FFA president, and there is no doubt that there will be even more success in his future.
I've had plenty of fun memories with Andrew, one of the best being when he decided to forget his boxing gloves at our school before the state competition and not realize until we were almost an hour away. I started calling him my fearless leader as a joke, but not entirely. He's been one of my biggest inspirations and role models, as well as one of my biggest supporters. When I got pancreatitis for the 5th time at last year's state convention, he was one of the ones who collected my plaque for me on center stage and was the first to come visit me in the hospital. When I didn't know what topic to do for my prepared speech, he was right there to give me ideas. He never hesitates to tell me when I'm doing something wrong, but he also gives me feedback and has helped me grow. I would not be where I am today without his help. Andrew truly is my fearless leader. He's fearless because no matter what challenge I bring to him that I think is unsolvable, he always has advice, help, or a sarcastic comment. And he will always be my leader, my inspiration, my biggest role model, and my closest friend. So, without further ado, please welcome your 2023-2024 State President, Andrew Schulz.
I wake up at 4 a.m. to the introduction of Sweet Child of Mine blaring. It is the first day of summer vacation, and I'm about to get ready to go to work. I put on my jeans and my boots and make myself a quesadilla and a cup of coffee, and out the door I go. I work every summer as a member of the Rogan crew for Highline Grain Growers. The Rogan crew typically consists of myself and my little brother and a few of our friends. Our responsibility as members of the Rogan crew is to remove unwanted crops from seed fields. The job requires starting early in the morning and plenty of walking. Most of the time, we are sent out to a field in search of a specific crop or weed in need of removal. This can be difficult as most of the crops look very similar. A contaminated field can fail an inspection and would have to require either rogers come back out and rogue the field again, or the farmer would have to put the field into a commercial, meaning they would get less money, and Highline would have less seed to sell to farmers for the next year. Now, on this specific day, I had walked 5 miles through the fields, flagging the borders to disregard the outside 100 feet from seed. When walking through the fields, I'd walk on the tall part of the planting rows, constantly rolling my ankle over the dry and rocky soil. At 1 o'clock, I finally got home sore than ever. I took a nap and a quick shower before I had to head over to the baseball field for my first summer league game of the year. Now, for those of you who don't know, I absolutely love baseball. It is a sport I've been playing since I was 4 years old. In fact, this mitt has gone with me everywhere for the past year. Now, I was so excited for the summer league season to start, playing the sport that I love, hanging out with some of my favorite people, and frankly, getting an excuse to leave the house in the summer. So we get out to the field and we begin our typical warm-ups. We start out with a quick jog, move into stretching, and then we begin to play catch. Playing catch is one of my favorite things in the whole entire world because it involves two of my favorite things: throwing a baseball and talking. Now, I was still really sore from my long morning at work, but I hoped that the more I began to warm up, my body would begin to loosen up as well. But for some reason, my ankle was still killing me from walking through the rows and all the constant rolling and tripping that came along with it. Once we were done playing catch, we moved into fielding ground balls. And well, it was my turn in the grounder line. And as the grounder fired right toward me, I got in position to backhand it. This is when the ball hits a bump in the grass and redirects its route. So I redirect my body over to field the ball when snap, I roll over my ankle again. This time, it was not the same. I limp over to the dugout and was unfortunately taken out of the game. My coach decided I needed to be taken to the urgent care, much against my constant begging to let me stay. At the urgent care, the doctor told me that I had fractured my foot, but to go in and get an MRI just in case. Fast forward 2 weeks, I go in for my MRI, and sure enough, I had fractured and partially tore a ligament in my heel. It was confirmed I'd be in a cast and on crutches for the rest of summer. Processing that I couldn't play any more baseball for the rest of the year and I couldn't work for the rest of the summer was tough for me. I had to watch every single game as my friends all had a great time together from the dugout. I spent the first few days feeling bad for myself and wishing I could be out there playing on the field. But at one of the games, I sat there and thought to myself, well, what can I do about it? And truthfully, the answer was nothing. Everything that had happened up to that point was completely out of my control. This is when I realized, what if instead of looking at all the things that are going on that is wrong in my life, I can actually look at the things that I can control and go after the attainable things in life. The idea of controlling the controllables. My advisor was a big advocate for controlling the controllables and is the one who introduced me to this idea. What if our lives are just like my job with Highline? You can't control what's contaminating the field or how much is being contaminated. All you can control is how you go about getting the field clean for inspection and who is going to be in your crew to help you out. As leaders, we need to learn to control the controllables. Maybe for you, you want to pursue a career in broadcasting, but your school doesn't offer any classes to help boost your communication skills. Maybe for you, you want to take higher level courses to help amplify your education, but your school's too small to offer AP or honors classes. Or maybe you want to be an ASB officer, but you're not necessarily a fan of who gets put in those positions. All of these things are completely out of our control. We now have two options. One, we can be bitter and let it ruin our whole life. Or two, we can look at what we do have in front of us and go after that. One big event in my life is I moved from the state of California to the great state of Washington. And let me tell you, I was worried to do so. So many thoughts started racing through my head, like, oh, is there seriously going to be snow there? Are they going to love baseball there as much as they do here? And how am I going to make friends? This last question hit me the hardest, because everything and everyone that I had in my life up to that point was there with me in California. Having to say bye to my big Portuguese family and my friends was going to be the most difficult thing I ever had to do. Now, when I got to Washington in July, I was immediately thrown into football and began to make friends there. I also met a lot of my eventual classmates and friends at Vacation Bible School that summer. So when I attended my first day of 5th grade, Some of the people that were surrounding me were already some of my friends. But this is where the real mission began, finding my people. Now, obviously, the best place to make friends in elementary school is at recess. So I found the ones playing soccer, handball, and two-hand touch football, and I decided that those people were going to be my friends. Now, it's great and all to have friends that have similar interests to you, but having friends that push you to your limits can be quite valuable as well. So I ran the most reliable test a fifth grader could ever come up with. I was going to see who was the best at filling out the multiplication table. I'm not joking. Now, I got really lucky because the ones that I made friends with in sports and at recess were also the ones who happened to kill it at the times tables. Now, while fifth grade me didn't necessarily get the full picture of what makes a good friend, what I've now come to realize is that a true friend has your back, can listen to you when you need, and can have a hard conversation with you when you need to hear it. These are the people that I surrounded myself with in my time in Reardon. Now, by a show of hands, how many of us have had to work closely with people who we dislike? Yeah, well, unfortunately, me too. However, that's just life. In this life, we will have to work with difficult people. But how we can positively, professionally, and progressively work with them is what makes us stand out as leaders and as individuals. While in some cases there may be people that you are forced to work closely with, the ones that are going to be closest to you are the ones that you choose to have right there by your side. Controlling the controllables. Find a group of individuals that challenges you to be the best that you can possibly be. Find the friends who want the best for you rather than the ones that just say yes to every little thing that you say. Community is one of the biggest controllables that us as individuals have in life. Let's keep our heads down and stay focused. We need to stop getting caught up in all the things that we cannot control. Washington FFA, find your people and control the controllables.
Lean on me when you're not strong, and I'll be your friend. I'll help you carry on, for it won't be long till I'm gonna need somebody to lean on. Please swallow your pride. If I have faith, you need to borrow, for no one can fill those of your needs that you won't let show. You just call on me, brother.
Andrew, thank you for always being willing to have a good laugh after a long day and going out of your way to ensure that we have a good time. We will miss the baseball references and football updates. Thank you for always pushing us to be better versions of ourselves. Your passions for leadership is a value we all strive to have. You're a prime example of having an open mind when it comes to having meaningful conversations and always listening to understand. Love, Stacy, Nathan, Natalie, Kaya, and Michael. The chair will now entertain a motion to accept State President Andrew Schulz's retiring address.
I move that the Washington State FFA Association accept State President Andrew Schulz's retiring address, Control the Controllables, as his resignation of state office, which will become effective at the closing of the new officer installation ceremonies.
Madam Chairman, I support the motion to accept State President Andrew Schulz's retiring address.
It has been properly moved to accept State President Andrew Schulz's retiring address. A second is not necessary. All those in favor, please signify by standing. The motion passes unanimously. Ladies and gentlemen, our 2023-2024 Washington FFA State President Andrew Schulz.
Call me if you need a friend.